Bible probably contains more supernatural phenomena than any book ever written. Amongst them are nearly 300 appearances by angels, including those which foretold Christ's nativity, and an angel which led Moses to the parting of the Red Sea. Heavenly beings also feature heavily on stained glass windows and Christmas cards. It's a comforting thought that we might all have a guardian angel, but is it just what some want to believe? Now, these books are all testimonies of angelic intervention, and they've sold 5 million copies in America. It's there that our next story is set, with a young woman in a desperate plight.
It was the most treacherous cliff that I've ever seen. So I started screaming, "Help, help, somebody help me." Don't know how I got down. No one else could possibly have survived it without angelic assistance.
Rescued by angels. Chantal Lakey is one of hundreds who claim that when life is on the brink of crisis, heavenly beings have stepped in. An incredible claim. But such tales of survival are so remarkable, so incredible, that it seems normal explanations hardly apply. Shari Peterson has to fly all over the world in her job as a travel guide. Planes are her second home. But on a flight from Hawaii to New Zealand, she realized something unusual was happening.
The flight attendant, as she was walking up the aisle, she was serving people walking towards me. We made eye contact, and we looked at each other, and I thought, wow, that's really interesting. We just connected in some way. That kind of eye contact and connection with people, you just don't do that when you fly.
Another passenger was Bruce Lampert, a former pilot who's now a lawyer, specializing in injury claims after plane crashes.
The irony of the fact that I was, instead of being the lawyer, I was going to be the victim, did not escape me as I sat on that airplane that night.
Usually loosen or undo my seatbelt, and that's when I heard the voice.
Fasten your seatbelt.
Did you say something?
No, I didn't.
Only Shari Peterson had heard the voice, seemingly from nowhere.
I thought, that's not something one person would say to another person. And that's when I went, I'm going to do this.
Less than a minute later, she knew why.
Suddenly there was this huge boom, and then this incredible decompression as the side of the airplane opened up.
This accident literally was every air traveler's worst nightmare. The aircraft was fully loaded, and as it was climbing through 22,000 feet, the forward cargo door opened in flight. It was caught in the 300-knot airstream, tearing a hole through the main cabin. Anybody that would not have been fastened in their seat would have been ejected through the hole.
I could see the ocean out the hole that was below me, and I'm thinking, you know, if there's anybody out there who can hear me, meaning whoever told me to tighten my seatbelt, please help.
Although 9 passengers were killed, the plane landed safely.
They have done numerous simulations of the actual accident, and they can't make the plane land. We had 2 engines on fire, the side of the airplane's gone. We were, you know, loaded with fuel. Since that time, I've gotten to know the pilot and Captain Cronin, and he said he did not land that airplane. I quote. That was really not from this world. A messenger from somewhere, call it what you will. I believe it was an angel.
And as he began to handle the compensation claims, Bruce Lampert found she was not the only one.
The husband and wife related to me that he heard a voice. Of the 50 people that I represented, they all had dramatic stories. But I found it very unusual that out of those folks, the 2 of them had actually heard somebody on the aircraft during the trauma of the crisis speaking to them.
But is all this just wishful thinking, a comforting way to face such traumatic experiences for the victims?
They believe that they've seen angels because, to a certain extent, they have. They have seen them. They seemed real to them. Now, I don't think they saw something that was outside themselves. I think that they saw them in their own minds. On occasion, things can conspire and produce a waking dream that has all the attributes of reality.
Real or not, so many people now claim to have had angel experiences that one believer, Marilyn Weber, holds weekly discussion groups at her home.
And just last week in Chicago, one of the
it does
on the playground,
never
which
cease
he had
to amaze us of many stories that people tell us about angels.
One of the stories that has really touched me lately has to do with the earthquake that took place a few months ago.
My grandson's teacher was sound asleep on the couch. Something tapped her on the shoulder and said, "Get up." And she said she immediately woke up and walked down into the basement. Her whole home was destroyed. And where she was laying, a beam from the ceiling had fell right on the couch.
You know, whatever.
Marilyn Weber has received almost 10,000 letters from angel believers, and she's even started up a mail order business. She became a devotee herself after, she insists, 4 angels came to her in a dream.
Yes, that's a ceramic one that's made by a special.
And they weren't the angels I wanted to see or expected to see because they were dressed in black. And their message to me was that I was dying. Unless something was done, I was dying. So I woke up as so distressed with this dream and with a pain that I'd never felt before.
Marilyn rushed to hospital. Her medical records showed that she was found to have a form of cancer from which patients never usually feel any pain until it's too late.
I wouldn't have gone to a doctor had I not had the warning, and had the cancer just been allowed to continue, then I would not have survived.
Some people don't claim only to have heard strange voices or dreamed about angels, though. They say they've actually seen them.
Dale was very, very athletic, very much into trying new events and exciting, adventurous things.
Chantal Lakey and her fiancé Dale Thompson were on their way home from a holiday on the west coast of America when they stopped the car to climb a rock overlooking the sea for a spectacular view of the ocean.
I wanted that moment at the top of the mountain to last forever because I had never felt more intimate and close to Dale.
God, this is gorgeous.
I don't want to leave.
Oh, I know, I don't want to go home.
Well, you know what?
What?
We do have a few hours. Why don't we just take this trail over here and go down to the beach? Let's go, okay?
Okay. All right.
His hand was outstretched to me and he said, "How's your fear factor?" And I said, "Oh, I'm fine. Don't worry about me." But in actuality, I was terrorized. I was scared to death. All of a sudden, after several feet, the trail turned into a straight drop. And we found ourselves upon a cliff, and we didn't know what to do. We started to try to climb back up, but we couldn't do it because every time we moved our hands or our feet, the rock would fall. He looked at me and he said, "What we need to do is inch our way down, and I'm going to go first." He kept falling and falling until I couldn't see him fall anymore. And I was up there all alone. I couldn't move. I couldn't see any place to put my hands or my feet, and I was so afraid. I was frozen, just frozen in time, frozen in space. All of a sudden, I was in a mist. I just remember hearing the singing and feeling the mist all around me and the love and the specialness. And at that instant, I knew there was angels.
Chantal found herself at the foot of the cliffs. Dale had been killed, but she wasn't even injured. So was she helped by unearthly hands? Could she have made it another way? Not according to the local police.
The professional rescue team in reality didn't come down the same route that Dale filled. It was far too dangerous even with the gear and the professional training. Chantel said she came partway down that face of that rock. It's the opinion of the rescue personnel that once committed, neither could a person come down unassisted nor go back up. So how she got off that rock is left to speculation.
I know that it was real. I know that the angels were there for me.
After Dale's death, Chantal Lakey met a new man. He'd had an angel experience too, and now he's becoming famous for painting pictures of them. And these guardian spirits are appearing not just in America, but all over the place. A few years ago, Russian cosmonauts in an orbiting space station radioed back to base saying that they had seen angelic beings outside their spacecraft. Well, they were very high. Until next time, good night.